Hello, and welcome to one of my series of discussions with myself around learning models I like. Today's learning model is this one. It's one I've used for a long number of years. The number of years extends each year and it's now up to 40. Let's have a look at this and I'll look at them each in turn. This will be a brief video, but it covers, I hope, some very useful ground for practitioners. Essentially, we've got two axes here. We've got the difficulty of learning, which is important, very important in this model, the difficulty of learning. How often do we think about that as practitioners when we're designing and delivering learning? So that's one axis. And the other axis, as you can see, is a very simple model, the value to the organization. And for me, those are two things that we practitioners, but also learners we work with, clients we work with, should be thinking about a lot more, I believe, than we actually do. So let's have a look at this. As you can see, there are four quadrants. So the first of these I'm going to look at as I lean forward is, I hope, yes, here it is, high difficulty, low value. And just to remind you, top left on the quadrant there. So high difficulty, low value. Let's take a look at it. What does it actually mean? This means this is going to be tough. This is going to involve problems. There are going to be obstacles in the way, barriers. There might be a lack of support. It might be difficult to do, technically difficult to do. And there's not going to be a great return as a result. Do we think about these things enough? Do we think that we're engaged in something that could, for instance, involve high difficulty, low value? I could go on at length, and I sometimes do on these matters, but I'm going to keep this brief and to the point because you can do the thinking about it afterwards. You'll have the model. So after this comes high difficulty, high value. No, hey, what's changed here? It's still as tough. It might be tougher still. This time, though, there's a high return. Have we done that accurately? Have we involved the stakeholders which determine the actual value? And have we made the trade-off between how difficult is it going to be and is the value in terms of how much and when going to be sufficient to put in the high difficulty of learning? Because high difficulty learning can involve investment of time, of resources, of money, whatever, to overcome the difficulty. So it could be a significant investment. This could also be something which one person's taking on. High difficulty for me. Am I too busy to do this? Is it worth the effort? Is the return I'm going to get all about me, or will it be recognized by others? There are lots of issues around here. I'm moving quickly. Now, here's the one that we ought to avoid, really, I think. Low difficulty, low value. Hey, perhaps we should avoid it, but I think we go for it quite often because this is low-hanging fruit. This is not going to be tough, and well, we don't get much back, but who cares? Who's asking for it? Who's bothered? Is the evaluation all about did people enjoy themselves as opposed to did the organization get more than its investment back? So low difficulty, low value is all about things that are not too stretching, not too challenging, might not be particularly at risk in terms of success, but the return is low. And that's often disappointing. This is, I believe, after 40 years in this business of learning, where a lot of organizations are. They don't expect a lot back. They typically see learning and development and training, as they call it still, as a cost. So they don't expect anything at all back a lot of the time, but it's something they must do. So they go for the low difficulty stuff. Things that are unlikely to go wrong, things that if they go right will have some return probably, but do they measure it anyway? That, however, is where we don't get as practitioners, I think, a lot of reward, a lot of our own, what can I say here, feelings of value. So that leaves this one. Now, that's the one really we should kind of aim for. Yes, it's great to go for high difficulty, high value. That can be technically challenging. It can give us a showcase to show what we can do to overcome high difficulty. However, again, low-hanging fruit, low difficulty means let's target the things, and this is entirely pragmatically sensible a lot of the time, let's target those things which we can get a high return and tangibly show attributively it's down to this, without a great deal of difficulty, without a great deal of time, without a great deal of resource allocation, without a great deal of having to overcome barriers, make cases, challenge people, fall out with folk in organizations, whatever. Now, this is a useful model because I think this model is particularly valuable. I'll just run through them quickly. There it is again. This model is particularly useful in, for instance, coaching contracting. Because to sit down with a client, whether it's the learner or the commissioning client, and say, okay, where are we on this? What are we aiming for here? Which of these quadrants are we in? And of course, you can be near the center or at the far extreme on any one of these. So I think it helps to clarify and to make explicit a lot of the issues which are involved around trying to get a return from learning. So there you are. There's my contact details. These days, I'm adding to them the YouTube channel. This is going to go up there. The podcast, hey, that's getting some strong interest. So if you want to get in touch with me, that's how to do so. I do take a high return view and approach to what I do. And that's why I like to work for my own challenge in the high difficulty, high return type area. Anyway, I hope that was useful for you.